So, welcome everyone. This is our second installment of our Farmers Coffee Hour. And so, first of all, I need to see, does everybody have a hot or cold beverage of their choice to join them for today's coffee chat? All right. Yes. All right. And if you don't, that's okay. Maybe someone's making one for you in the background, or you've had enough for today. So just a little introduction. Erica Shelley, that's me, and I'm the executive director here at the Organic Council of Ontario. And just a reminder that we are a not-for-profit, really working for you, for the farmers, our producers, our everybody in the value chain, up to the eaters, and making sure that the people that are eating organic foods are educated about how important it is. And so what we do is we really try to bring everyone together in ways that they can get information, build community, and that we can also advocate as well for them. So today we are super lucky because we have I actually it's this we have I think five guests that are joining us today. So our first person is Luke Sheldrick. So Luke is a co-owner and operator of Terramore Farm in Burnstown, Ontario, with his partner Dana, and they are a thriving vegetable CSA and flower farm serving customers, restaurants, and farmers markets across Ottawa and the Valley. Did I get that all right, Luke? Did I forget anything really important or anything there?
That was perfect. Yeah, that's
That's
us.
that's you. Okay. All right. And my next is Nathan and Alita. So I see Nathan there. I saw Alita jumped into the frame a little bit there, but so Nathan and Alita are the husband and wife team behind Nith Valley Organics in Plattsville, Ontario. Just so you guys know, I have been eating at Bailey's Local Foods forever, ever, ever. And I think maybe even one of your first years, I was getting your yummy greens back in the day. So I've actually enjoyed your food for a very long time. So combining Nathan's background in organic agriculture and Alita's lifelong experience with livestock, they run a mixed farm producing certified organic vegetables, pastured eggs, and meat. So you guys have some livestock too, right, Nathan? What you have livestock?
So we have we have the laying hens, sheep, meat chickens, ducks, turkeys. So yeah,
Okay, okay, a
there's
few, a couple
things
of
going
things
on.
going on there. And are you right on the Nith, the river?
Not right on it, but uh right on a creek that flows into the net, half a block from the river. So
Okay,
it's
I do canoe or kayak there now. It's a very slow, small river. It is very nice for
seasonally it's
canoeing.
less so, but
What was
yes,
that?
seasonally less small, but yes, it's in a nice quiet river most of the season.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. All right, and next we have Kristine Hammel. So Kristine co-owns Persephone Farm and Market Garden in Grey County with her husband Thorsten Arnold. And together they've transformed their land into a model of regenerative agriculture and agritourism, blending no-till organic production with ecological restoration and community education. And do you guys, you have the market garden. Do you also have livestock there, Christine?
We have a few. Those are not really enterprises.
Not
They
the
help in terms of
enterprises?
cycling of nutrients. There's a few chickens, a bit of poultry, and a few sheep, but
Okay.
the veggies and seeds are actually the
Oh, you have
primary
seeds
endeavors.
too. All right. We've got seeds to chat about. Ooh, I like that. All right. And did Eric make it on, Courtney? Is Eric here? I haven't seen.
Eric is just having trouble getting in, so I'm trying to help him.
Okay, well, when Eric comes on, he's a member of the uh, Shigwinade First Nation and is the manager and farmer at Earth Haven Farm in Thomasburg, Ontario. Alongside his mother and team, he cultivates vegetables, highland beef, chicken, herbs, and seeds on their 200-acre organic and biodynamic farm. So we actually have a really interesting mix of farmers this month because you guys all are doing a lot of different things. You're not just like a single crop. There's a lot going on there. And so just to kind of get the conversation started today, I just want to ask you how's your season been? How did this farming season go as we're kind of starting to get down into to winding down time? Kristine, I'm going to go ahead and start with you because you're big on my screen here right now.
I think all in all, it's been a pretty good season. I think in comparison to lots of other parts of Ontario, we did get a bit more rain during the summer, which certainly helped. I think a real challenge was just the intense heat and smoke. Most of our work is physical labor. In terms of our small scale, we have about an acre and a half in the vegetables and the seeds. And so, thinking a lot about how to manage heat stress in the summer on many levels is already has been a part of my work and thinking. But I think after the summer, I'll do some more reviewing there about how to better prepare for that and reduce the hours we need to be out in the field in July and August, because for sure this year that was just in the end really physically challenging and tiring. But other than that, all in all, we had mostly rain when we needed it. We just had our first solid frost this weekend, so it's been quite an extended season in many ways.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting to like think about like fires and heat and how they're impacting like being out working in those conditions. How about for any of the other Luke or yeah, Luke, how about you?
Yeah, I'm happy to go. That sounds like a great season, Kristine. We had a little more trouble, as you mentioned, with water here. All things considered, like where we did okay, pretty good actually, like in the end. But our pond like did run dry, and we were in sort of prioritizing things, losing a few direct seeded crops in that August period where you really need to be trying to get things in the ground and get them growing. So we were sort of damage control for that first couple weeks of August. But all things considered, pretty good year considering some of the environmental effects. But we know that that's par for the course. And I think luckily, as far as like mentality went, our experience weighed in where you can kind of just say this right now is out of our control, and that and at the end of the year it's feeling okay.
Yeah. Well, that's actually really good to hear, like that despite everything that happened, that the year came around for you okay. So, and I'm a beekeeper, so we had like we thought we were having like the best year ever, and then the bees just like ate through so many of their stores, right? So
Oh
it was
no.
it was like one of those like yay, oh, and then we didn't even have a goldenrod flow this year, which was really odd. So yeah, I definitely felt some of these seasonal effects myself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Nathan, do you still have what just got handed to you in your hands? Look! Ah! I love it. I love it.
I went and got this fellow myself from his he was in his little roundabout play thing, but he was getting fussy. So
All right. Yay. I love when we can have little people join us. Hello. This is like the best part of like farming is that you get to like be home with the little people and then they can just like join you or not, depending on what you're doing. With
yeah.
the bees, I don't usually take little people out with me.
No.
No. All right. So how about you guys? Oh, we got another one. Yeah. All
What am I
right.
going on right here?
The
Yeah,
whole crew.
it's okay.
All right. How
So,
was
yeah,
how was your season other than children?
yeah, well, it did impact our summer a little bit. I
Yeah.
think it took us a little longer than it would have to get ourselves back in the black this fall, but we've made it, and so that's nice. In spite of all that, actually had a pretty fantastic season with how farmers markets went. So, that's because growing stuff is half the battle. And then profitably getting rid of all that stuff that you produced is the other half. And so that's it was actually interesting in the spring. I think that we benefited a bit from the unpredictable weather in ways that I would like not to be doing regularly, because some of the other farms had really horrible springs. And so there was a lot less other food to go around at market. So I felt like we picked up quite a bit of that, because basically we had a 1 week planting window end of April, and we drove straight through that planting window, got a lot of stuff in, and nobody else had that window. So when that stuff was all just about ready, everybody else is like, yeah, we're about out of the stuff in our high tunnels, and so we're not sure what we're going to bring next week. And I'm like, I know what I'm going to bring next week. It's going to be a lot of lettuce. The beets are just starting to come on, and like, yeah, we're about getting stuff planted in the field soon. Like, okay, so I got about a month to just make
Get it
bank
all done.
that
Yeah.
1 week that we got to plant stuff. So that was kind of a nice start to the season. As far as the weather, it had its challenges for sure. But we didn't fare near as bad as what I know some people did. I kind of made a project over the last number of years of balancing what we grow to the availability of our water. So I used to grow a lot more acreage. We've pulled that back so that we're at about 6 acres now, which is more sustainable with our water supply. And yeah, because we've made those changes, I had a well-balanced amount of water for the amount of stuff we grow. There's a couple of crops that we have that we don't water anymore. So our garlic and our squash, we both have as mulch culture, and have found that even on our kind of droughty, sandy, gravelly soil, that we can consistently produce those even in dry summers without irrigation. So that also helps stretch the water resources over a larger area. So that's yeah, most things did fairly well. The potato beetles ate all of our potatoes right after we planted them, so we don't have those this year. And we're trying to do direct seed cabbage for transplant, which worked fantastically last year, and this year they came up and then somehow vanished, so I didn't have fall cabbages. But we've all got our little the things we want to talk about each year, and then the ones that are like, well, that didn't work out so good.
Yeah.
You can just take another year off of potatoes for break the pest cycle, and then
And
And
also,
get back to it.
it was right around the time that this guy was born. He was born the end of June.
so yeah,
So
there's things that I might be able to do that just
this didn't happen.
didn't happen this year. So
Happen. Yeah, sometimes it's the weather, sometimes it's babies, right? So you never know what's going to affect things for sure. But I think that's actually one of the important things with these farmers coffee hours is, oftentimes people are talking about their successes. You see what you see at the market, but sometimes there are, difficulties or things you've had to work around, and it's good for people to learn. You know what I'd like to do is I have a list of questions for you, but I just want to actually turn it to the chat or anybody who might actually have a specific question for our farmers today. Does anybody have any specific questions? Oh, I see you, Aric. You made it. Okay, Aric. I see you're there now. We were just asking, I did your introduction when you weren't here, but I'm happy that you've been able to make it. I just wanted to ask you about how your farming season went.
Hi.
Hey.
Yeah, the farming was it was a challenge this year. Yeah, of course, with the heat and yeah, for me it was just like every year. I almost think that the quality of and the and the help you get really dictates how well your season's going to do, and has less to do with the season, because we have irrigation and all those things. But it's so this year, and has been tough for finding helpers, and that's been our main issue, I guess, this year. But overall, it's been okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I have here you have vegetables, Highland beef, chicken, herbs, seeds, and you're a 200-acre organic and biodynamic farm. So are you farming all 200 acres?
Well, it's 100 acres woodlot, 100 acres pasture fields, but there's also two other farms that I farm to, two other properties with land, and the main thing that I do with all of them is hay management. So I cut a lot of hay in the summer. So mainly just hay to feed the cows, and then use that for the garden as well. The hay that we don't use for the
Okay.
cows. Hmm.
Well, that's really, really nice. All right. I've got a
Hmm.
question for Nathan here. Pat wants to know what type of mulch you like to use for your mulched crops.
That's, we use wood mulch. That's just before I put the mic on. My wife in the background is saying free is our favorite kind. So we work with a local tree service company. I provide them a spot to dump wood chips all year. And yeah, we probably use, I don't know, they're never measured on the way in or out really. So I think that it's something over 100 tons of chips per year that we're using. So quite a substantial amount. And yeah, I call myself a bit of a reluctant permaculturalist. I don't like shoveling mulch. So we apply mulch when we can do it with a machine effectively. So yeah, all of our mulch is spread with a manure spreader. So yeah, tractor loader into spreader out on field. So we've found a way that works for us for that. I'm actually going to be talking more specifically about that at EFAO has me on as a panelist at a conference in December, talking specifically about mulch. But yeah, any specific questions on how I manage that? It's yeah, a little bit of a different system, and but yeah, it works. And yeah, we have mostly found that I don't grow anything the following spring on the grounds that I did that on. I'm trying to shorten up that reuse interval, but following fall and a couple of years after that, the soil is just so amazing because of all that organic matter that I've applied. Main secret is you put on enough hotter compost material as well, so that it compensates for the nitrogen demands of breaking down massive quantities of wood.
Yeah, because it is tough with that type of mulch. How about you, Kristine? What do you use on yours?
I use a lot of mulch. I think I take kind of the opposite approach. It's all hand applied, but I also only have like an acre and a quarter that I'm working with, so it's a different scale. I use switchgrass straw that I get from a farmer that's fairly local to me, and I think this year we put on about 8 to 10 of those large 1,000 pound maybe bales on our fields, and we basically mulch paths with that, as well as any crops that are in for like longer term, not the short season things like lettuce and leafy greens, because also I don't want to eat switchgrass straw when I'm eating my lettuce. But anything that's in longer gets mulch, and it is um, super helpful in terms of moisture management. Also, besides like weeds, it is currently a real challenge in terms of slugs and bolts. So my potatoes had almost no Colorado potato beetles, and we've had lots in other years. But I think with no-till and the straw, that has really worked well. Instead, the voles ate a lot of them. So I think I need
Oh.
a trained ferret to eat the voles so that I get to harvest more potatoes.
Does anyone have a trained ferret on their
It's
property?
actually one
I
of the
guess you can
things
only
that
do that for a smaller one. How about you, Luke? Are you using anything different for mulch?
just
And
to
how
jump
many,
back on
what was
the
that?
just to jump back on the types of mulch, that's actually one of the things that I really like about wood mulch is that it's not nearly as habitat conducive to rodents as what straw or grass sort of mulch would be. So I've really found, heck, even like a landscape fabric or plastic mulch is better vole habitat than wood chips. So so moving away from those things towards wood chips has really helped. I don't know, not exacerbate the problem of a very healthy population of rodents that we have in our fields as well. But yeah, that's one thing I have liked with that.
Yeah. And Luke, how about you?
We mostly use landscape fabric.
Oh, so very
Oh.
different approach there than those two. Yeah.
Yeah, we're using a lot of landscape fabric in our fields. So things like Salanova for our lettuce mix, and then kale, summer squash. It just depends on the crop and how many beds we're putting in that section. And then we sort of have different pre-burned patterns that suit that block. So then we rotate them around throughout the season. That's sort of relevant to our crop plan.
Yeah. And how long does your landscape fabric last? Like how many seasons are you able to get out of it?
We still have the original. We've never thrown, well, other than like if it was mismatched or we didn't like, there's a few we've thrown out because we didn't like the whole pattern. Like early years, we didn't really do it as systematically, but we still have ones from our first year. So 10 years.
Okay. How
still
about
there.
you, Aric? What are you using? You got a lot bigger farm there.
Yeah, like I was saying, I do cut hay. So for me, I try to not buy as much as I can, try to do everything on the farm itself. So yeah, like I say, I have lots of leftover hay after the season, after the winter season's done. So I'll roll that out. And yeah, we've been doing that for quite a while now. And yeah, like they were saying, the problem with we have all those problems, and it's what you can deal with and what you're willing to accept. So I'm willing to accept. Like for me, my plan is to not. My motivation is not to maximize profit, maximize production and stuff, and look at it from that type of perspective. It's more look at what can I do while I'm here to benefit the soil and the earth and in a good way. So I use what I have. So I cut a lot of hay, so I have lots of hay. So I put that on the fields, and it works really well for certain crops. Certain crops, it's a little bit of a challenge, but and yeah, the main thing is always putting a lot on. So you're putting down a lot of grass seed, really. So got to make sure you put something on top of that to keep it down. So
To keep it down, yeah. And I like
yeah,
that thought about, profit versus, profit for the land versus profit for us, right? There's a
yeah. Yeah,
way
and
of
if you're smart, then you'll think of profit for yourself rather than profit for the land, because that's not
yeah.
how everything works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually have a question here in the chat. I actually really like this question from Corinna. I like all the questions, but this is an interesting one. So it was mentioned profitable ways of getting rid of produce. So Corinna wants to know if any breakthroughs you might have had in marketing or selling your products. And maybe, like the obvious thing is farmer markets or selling, you know, um, farm stand or whatever, but maybe some interesting ways that aren't thought of right away in terms of moving along your produce. Take it away, Luke.
I guess my suggestion to someone starting out would be to have two sales avenues. I don't know if this is answering the question, but we really liked having like a CSA and a farmers market. We now specialize in restaurants, but I think just not putting your eggs in one basket helps. Like it helps you to move product, because that's the biggest fear, is like planting things and then not selling them, because then you're almost paying for them twice. You lost the profit and the time invested in growing them. So I don't know if that answers the question, but that would be like my breakthrough, is just trying to have another sales avenue, always two to start, maybe even three, just so that you can move product in different areas. So in our original business plan, we had our CSA, and that would take the bulk of things, and then what was left over we would bring to a market on the weekends. That's changed a lot over the 10 years, but just having sort of a plan and different ways to move the product.
Yeah, diversification, right, is always great, but then you can't, I guess, over, do too much where you're left empty on one of those places and you can't provide anything there, right? Like, has that happened to you before where you're like, okay, I have a CSA, I have a farmer's market, and I'm committed to the CSA, but you don't have enough produce for the farmer's market?
We haven't ran into that problem, but there's definitely been like scenarios where we would prefer to have more of certain products for different sales avenues. So I guess it has. Yeah, there's been instances where we haven't had carrots in the peak season at market, or we haven't had salad for our chefs in August. And those are always instances where we like make a note and try to adjust our crop plan for the following season to make sure that we have those. Like you're always sort of, it's never going to be the perfect plan. You're always
No.
sort of adjusting from one season to the next to try to curb those negatives. But I think there's always going to be learning and improvement.
Yeah. Anybody else from the panel here been breakthroughs, interesting things you've done with your marketing or selling of your produce?
Yeah, it's changed a lot from when we started out to what it is now. When we were starting out, it's pretty much entirely a system of as you start to get a sense over the first couple of years of what you're capable of selling, then trying to grow for that. And you can do that for a while, and then at a certain point you realize that you're too busy, and that you do in fact actually have more ability to sell stuff than you necessarily have to produce for all of those markets. And then you start prioritizing things a little bit, especially as we were starting to pick up some wholesale accounts. It's like, oh my gosh, we actually can, there's a lot of different things that I can sell way more than I can produce. So let's start specializing in things that we actually like growing, things that are, the top half of the profitability range on what we think that we're making on crops, because that's always a hard one to guess, is which are you actually making money on versus the things that you're losing money on. Yeah, and then just the farmers markets, like we got up to too many markets at one point. We were doing 5 per week at our worst, and we're back down to 2 now, and much happier with it, doing a lot more gross sales at those 2 than we ever did at 5. So it's yeah, plus we've got some wholesale accounts that we picked up, but I already mentioned that. So
Which has suffered this year.
oh yeah, the wholesale amounts have suffered this year on account of, well, like what he was just saying, that sometimes you don't have enough for both, and so you have to prioritize
What makes you more money?
And yeah, now our challenges are the practicalities and logistics of how much stuff can you ram through how little space at a market, because it does get to that point at a certain point as
Hi, yeah.
so.
Kristine, you are going to say something too. You've got something?
Yeah, so I live in a fairly rural area. Like the next major center is a solid 2 hours away in terms of Guelph. I'm up on the Saugeen Peninsula. I don't have a lot of restaurants that actually like cook with real food, and also like a limited population base. I think Gray and Bruce together maybe have in the neighborhood of 150,000. So I have never reached the point where I could sell more than I could produce. It's always been the other way around. I can produce more than I can sell. And having approached some pretty expensive, I wouldn't necessarily call them quality or high-end restaurants, but some expensive restaurants in my vicinity, and was then told that they couldn't afford my stuff, even though other restaurants had been using it for over 5 years. I got kind of discouraged by that, probably about four years or so ago. And at that point decided I needed to start rethinking and looking elsewhere beyond fresh vegetables, which is how I got into seed, because I started approaching like small bioregional seed companies and asking if they were looking for contract growers, and had have moved in that direction instead based on my markets and what's available to me, and have really enjoyed that. It's a very different growing process. It's a very different marketing process than fresh vegetables. I really enjoy that. Um, Seeds also have more downtime in July and August. And when the first seed company owner told me that July and August was the slow time for seed growing, I was like, what? I would love to be part of that, because my July and August is busy enough. I want less to do in July and August. So there was a whole bunch of reasons, including marketing for the seeds. And I've been doing uh, vegetables and herbs and cut flowers. And really enjoy that. And I'm now have just planted this past autumn my first native perennial wildflowers, and I'm working with a seed company for those. Um, and I think that's sort of a combination of what can I do to support my livelihood while I'm here, and also I think Aric's observation, like what can I do for the land in this brief time that I have here. And I think the native wildflowers are really encouraging, maybe in both. They might support livelihood and also hopefully support broader restoration projects. And the attraction there is they are perennial. They got planted this year. Hopefully, I'm not replanting that every year. And so I'm curious to see where that takes me.
So this was your first year of seeds this year then? Really?
No, this is the third year of seeds. It's actually why I got organic certification, because for I needed that for selling to these small seed companies. It's the first year where I've planted perennial wildflowers, which I can't harvest this year and probably not even next year, but then hopefully in years forward, we'll be able to.
Okay, okay. And speaking of organic certification, that's a beautiful segue there. Thank you. So a lot of you have very diverse farms, and I'm curious about what's certified and what's not certified, and why you've kind of chosen those pathways for those different things on your farm. And I will take a volunteer here to start you off. Whoever would like to start off. Luke, all right, take
I
her
can go
away.
first because we are non-certified organic and have been since we started. And we follow all of the sort of guiding principles of certification. The major reason we didn't certify was kind of two things. Number one is the paper pot transplanter. We use it a lot here, and it still isn't certifiable in Canada, although it is in the US. So that's one reason. And then the other reason is that, like, and this is not against, like, I think that certification is great too, but it does sort of like just bother us that the label sort of can work for people that are also using like hydroponics now. So that's like just a little bit of like, so there's that. And then the sort of that same certifying agent has to come and tell my clients who I deal directly with that I am doing what I should be, but they also, in my opinion, certify people that are doing things that I don't think they should be, if that makes sense.
No,
So
it
we
does. It
deal
does.
in
There's a
all
lot of
direct
debate there.
sales.
Yeah.
So we are happy to, we're very transparent. Everything we do is online kind of, and we deal in direct sales and are happy to discuss our growing practices. So that's sort of where we landed with everything to inspire our decision.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that's really important to note is, we talk about healthy farming practices, right? And then we talk about certification. And in the long run, the goal behind certification is to make sure we are farming in healthy ways. But sometimes people say they are farming organically and that they're doing everything to the organic standards, but there's nothing actually checking them. So it's do you trust what that person's saying? Whereas that label does give people, that trust. And when you are doing, sales direct to customers, sometimes it's a little harder to, people trust you and they understand, and it doesn't make sense to go through that whole process. And one of the things I've been learning about in my time here at the Organic Council, so I just hit my 1 year coming into this space, is that there's roadblocks that keep people from becoming certified. And it's actually important that we learn about what some of those issues are. So it's great to get that kind of feedback of, okay, it's because these pots aren't allowed, and we think it's not fair that, people who are doing things that we don't feel like are healthy farming are still being certified. So it's great feedback for us to hear that. And just to note, we really appreciate that kind of feedback, because I think that's the only way a system can get better, is if you hear where the problems are in that system. And then we can take those problems, for example, these pots, and I can take that to the next review and say, what, we would have more people certified if these pots were certified. What's going on? And that's kind of the advocacy piece that we can always do for you as well. So it's really great to get that kind of feedback. All right, how about the other? Oh, one more thing.
I'll just add that like that's not a for life thing either. Like I do think there is a situation where we may venture to be certified should we enter grocery stores or anything like that. Like there's it's just at this point a decision based on sort of, like I said, direct sales. But we're
Oh, where
not
you are.
opposed to what you guys do, of course.
Yeah, yeah. And we're here, like we support the farmers and producers, and I just like to always say we're at arm's length from the certifying bodies and certifying agencies. So and we always just like to point that out, that, we're here to help all of you along that are, in that process of being healthy farmers. So I'm going to ask the rest of you. I don't know if we have mixed ones here, or if we're like other ones are like Luke and they're not certified at all. So yeah, feel free to chime in. I think Nathan, I see his microphone's
We're
off there. Yeah.
mostly certified. So basically, broadly speaking, uh, most pretty much what we sell that falls under Kingdom Plante is certified organic, and the stuff that doesn't is not certified. The eggs and the chicken are the eggs and chicken are basically, and turkey are basically organic. The lamb is raised on pasture, but on account of sheep have this tendency of wanting to come up with any excuse to die, we like to remove as many of their excuses as possible. So on the odd occasion when they do get in need of some medical attention, we're not going to deny that to them. Broadly speaking, again, a lot of the reason for not certifying any of the animal products is they all have to go through some form of further processing before they reach the consumer. And I wouldn't be able to maintain my certification through that, or at minimum it would be a ginormous headache to do that. I'm selling almost exclusively direct to consumer on all those products. I don't see the value. I do see the headache. Yeah, that's plus is like little things that don't really have sense around scalability of like laying hens. It's something that would be relatively easy to fix, but there's little things in the standard, like where you let the hens outdoors, it has to be a door that is wide enough for 2 chickens to pass. And I've got this little door that's 1 chicken at a time. And like there's a difference between I've got 100 birds and a door that 1 chicken can go in at a time, and I've got 10,000 birds and I've got a door that 2 chickens can go in at a time. It's like, why, like which one should be certified? That's anyways, just going to leave that here. But that's not the primary reason for not being certified. It's really that trying to get that through any sort of third-party facility ever, whether that's egg grading or abattoirs, it just does not make sense.
Yeah, but all your plant stuff is certified,
Yeah,
and
all are
that
bad.
makes sense for you. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I was still mostly direct to consumer at the time, but like starting up, it kind of lent a bit of more legitimacy to me. And I liked it that people would ask fewer questions. It's and especially at the time, like there were some pest control products, certified organic pest control products they were using, but people would ask a lot more questions about, is it no spray, until you have that certification to hide behind. And then, they would at least ask fewer questions about it, and you don't have as many 5-minute conversations about what is and is not allowed under organic. That, yeah, people can make their assumptions wrong or not, as long as they're in my favor. That was sort of my original decision on that. I've shifted on that, and it's like I've maintained the certification largely because we picked up some wholesale customers, and I would like to keep my options open, and it's a manageable amount of headache, I guess.
What you do, yeah. How about you, Aric? Do you have any certified organic at your farm?
Yeah, yeah, we're certified Demeter. We've been certified Demeter since I started. Um, yeah, I guess I come at it from a different perspective, and I've debated it many years all the time whether it's worth it to keep being certified or not. The one thing that I think because Demeter is a little different with their certification. They ask different questions from your regular certifier. Um, but one of them is just simply like, are your cows happy? And I guess the other thing is like creating a loop, right? So um, I think one of the problems I think with organic certification on this continent, like here in America and the US and Canada, is just there's just so much dominance with business, right? It just makes more sense to use glyphosate than to not to generate revenue, right? Because it costs way too much money to pay people. It's a lot of just politics in our country that really motivates us to. And I mean, from a consumer's perspective, most people are just uneducated enough to consider all these things. Like they really wouldn't care, or like do not see why it would be a problem to put your plants in paper, like he was saying. And yeah, so but then a lot of people do see a problem with that, and just a lot of people, it's just, we prefer ignorance, right? We just, as long as it says organics, I'm happy, right? As long as that person in front of the thing just says, yes, I'm organic and practicing it, we're quite happy with that. And that's how we build up our base, right? We get our customers and they seem to like us and they stick with us, and they're just like, they'll tell other people the exact same thing we tell them, right? Well, I'm organic up to a certain point, or I'm low spray, right? So, and from a consumer perspective, we're all just hungry, right? So we all just want to eat. And if the only thing that's around is McDonald's, then we tend to eat McDonald's. But um, for me, yeah, it's been really like, I'm pretty anal about wanting to do everything by the book and wanting to do everything with as much representation for making a good decision for the earth, rather than just for my pocketbook, which has not been good for my pocketbook. But that's just how I roll, I guess. And I think that's one thing that customers come back to me for, is they know that I'm not willing to just bend lines or bend the rules just to suit my need to feed my family. So the other good thing that I found with the Demeter certification is I get um, really intelligent people. Like I get doctors and top chefs. Like this just right now I got a chef, and I've had so many chefs from France, top chefs from France, that just come, and they're just like, they just love uh, what I pull off the fields, and they're just so happy to just have that challenge of using their brain to make something new. So that's one thing I find with being certified, is you can have more conversations and talk with people that are in the loop with of course, they're usually more elite people that can afford this type of thing. So I always like to try to take it down. That's one thing I like about the market, is I can uh, do a lot of good things for people that can't afford what I do. So I do like to, at the end of the day, I find it kind of annoying that I can't actually sell everything on my table in a Toronto, in the place where there should be, a lot of conscious people, but I still come home with food all the time. So I'm happy to donate those things to people that are going to appreciate them, whether or not they can pay me, right? So I think it's kind of a duty that we have as farmers, and we kind of forget about when we are looking at our land as a from a perspective of revenue and just making our lives happier, right? So I do think that's a big thing that we need to take into consideration in our decisions with every decision we make on the farm. But with the certification, it gets really cloudy and political and stuff and opinionated and things. And yeah, it's really a really gray area, and I don't have all the answers for everyone. I really wish certifiers would provide more of a service to us rather than us paying for a lot of stuff that for us to do more work, because it's a lot of paperwork. It's just way more paperwork than it needs to be, and I'm paying to do the paperwork, and then I don't get very much advice or like services from those providers. That's kind of a big annoyance for me. I wish that they would be more like even provide the service to come out to your farm willingly to make sure that you're doing things right and to help you uh, make sure that you can transition to doing things with a more conscious effort towards the earth. But yeah, tis the
Yeah,
time.
you know, and I absolutely agree with you, Aric, that I feel like there needs to be more guidance and just general help in organics instead of like throwing books and regulations at people and then having them try to figure it out or contact their certifiers and most of them are overwhelmed. I know one of the things a lot of people maybe don't know with you being Demeter certified is like that's actually above and beyond our organic certification here in Canada. So you'd probably very easily, if you decided to go down the organic certification for costs, you'd have that, but you don't need that for what you're doing right now. But a lot of people on the call might not know that particular type of certification. Kristine, I think you're the last one we haven't heard from on this. Did you have anything to add?
So I wasn't certified when I was doing just fresh vegetables direct to consumer, simply because it isn't justifiable in terms of the cost flat out for the certification versus how many vegetables I sell, nor the effort of doing it, which is onerous and tedious and really annoying. I did uh, take the plunge so that I could grow seed because pretty well all my seed customers are certified organic themselves. So, really, the only way to get into small scale seed growing, as far as I can tell, is to jump through that hoop and get that certification. It had absolutely zero impact on how I was actually farming.
Ugh.
None whatsoever. Other than that, I have to have more stacks of paper where I record stuff. But in the actual um, growing methods, there was no change. And it is, I likewise think, especially for smaller scale farmers, I think our positive externalities, I think, justify that we should be getting support financially for the certification. Because I think in the end, what I pay to get certified as a very small operation versus what very large processors get, what that costs them is there's no relationship between like they have this much annual like throughput in terms of finances and I have this, and I think in the end our certification costs are almost, they're the same order of magnitude, whereas our revenue is certainly not.
Yeah.
um and so I think for uh organic producers, certainly smaller scale ones, and how you define small. We could talk about that all day. I think the government supports enough other programs like crop insurance. There should be support for that for us.
Yeah, and I think one of the things with this particular group, and Terry, I see your comment in the thing. What I'm hearing is certified organic is dying. I think when you look at what's on the shelves at a grocery store, I don't think certified organic is dying. I think we're still seeing growth in those larger sectors, and having that label there builds trust, and you're able to know that these people that are nameless people, you don't know where it's actually coming from, but it's at your grocery store, that they've used those practices. But when you're talking to, Aric or Nathan or Luke, and you actually are talking to your farmer and you can actually ask about their practices and see what they're doing, then people do have a lot of trust in just talking to people, and they may or may not be honest, and that is an issue, right? I've been to a farmer's market. I live near St. Jacob's Farmer Market, and I've asked people, "Are you organic?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'm organic," and they're not organic at all. You buy it and it's like made in Mexico and there's nothing on it. And so that is problematic, and that's part of what leads to the distrust in the entire organic a thing, is because we have that. And I think one of the things that you're really pointing to, Kristine, is that it's the cost, it's the paperwork for small scale producers when, already time and capacity is limited, and we haven't built a system really around that yet. And it doesn't mean it can't happen. So Terry, I don't think it's dying, but I think changes need to be made so that it is, um, easier for people to do. And we don't mean easy in organic farming, because anybody who's, organic farming, it's never easier in that way, but in terms of the things that we love to do for farming is very different than paperwork and calling people, and then, like you're saying, Kristine, paying exorbitant, it's not even huge amounts, but relative to what you're making per crop, right? Sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense. So what else did Nathan? I saw you shaking your head there. I brought up the market and stuff. Do you have some thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're sticking with the certification, and like it opens up market. And to the point with Kristine or other seed growers, those of us who are certified need to hunt for certified organic seeds, because grown with organic methods means absolutely diddly squat without the certification to the certifiers. So they do not care of any difference between full conventional, non-treated still, but full conventional, and grown with ecological methods. If it doesn't have that piece of paper, that is nothing. Same as just in general on anything that you do on the farm, unless you wrote it down, it never happened. That, the entire system is based around a paper trail. There's another farm I was talking to that grows their own seed for some of their crops, and they'd been having some trouble with ProCert not well, I grow the seed for this, and well, they don't want to take their word for it. And I said, well, have you tried writing it on a harvest list? And he sort of looks at me like, I've just said the most obvious and revolutionary thing simultaneously. But it's like, literally, if there's not a piece of paper somewhere, even if it's a piece of paper that you wrote, they don't want to do anything if there's not a piece of paper associated with it. Electronic substitutes for paper. It doesn't have to be tree based, but like, the point is, if you didn't write it down, it never happened. But everything, if you just write it down, anyways, it's just so. And then also,
I think
there's processing
just one
budget
thing
too.
also,
So
the
it's
seed
like, sorry.
the seed that I'm growing, I think, is not primarily going to other farmers. The seed that I'm growing is going to home gardeners for the most part, because the seed companies I sell to, their primary market is home gardeners. It's not other market farmers. Some
Okay,
crops I have
fair.
produced enough that there was like that they could offer bulk quantities, but for the most part, it is home gardeners. And I think that's also in terms of marketing. Like, I have taken myself outside of food sales because
Mhm.
people's budgets for seeds is quite different, I find, than their budget for food. And so by growing seed, I am now in their recreation and leisure budget and no longer in their food budget.
And also just the amount that you're likely to spend on a packet of seeds versus the food that that could represent, like they're barely related to each other.
Yeah.
And like, well, I would say that you're mostly absolutely correct on that. There are certainly some odd varieties of seeds that we have used in very small quantities over the years. And it's still something that, I mean, yes, there's the small quantity, like the non-availability exemptions, but we have, been looking for 100 seeds of this or that from small suppliers in the past. And so then it makes sense for the seed company to at least keep their options open. And again, because they're a reseller of a product, to be able to carry that certification through to build the trust like that, it makes sense in that way. And the same for me, growing a product. Some people that have bought bulk cabbage, bulk garlic, things like 100 bunches of dill all at once, is a company that makes organic pickles. They're certified, so if I'm not certified, they can't buy from me. So it's
Yeah. And I'm gonna just kind of we're getting to the end of time here, and I think this is a really great conversation, and I think this is a good group to have it with because you all are farming a lot of different things, and so you can see the different perspectives. I do want to say there is a message in the chat from Andre. Says shop around for your certified. They changed certifiers this year and saved almost 50% of the cost. So that's a big part of it. The other thing I want to share too is there are apps coming out. There's a new one called Filled Margin. And when you're talking about a paper trail, you like literally go out, you just check, check, check. It keeps that for you. And Southbrook is using it right now, and the certifying agencies are taking that there. So if you found paperwork in the past to be onerous, there are things that are coming out to make that a little bit easier. But I actually really appreciate this conversation and hearing, kind of all the different perspectives. We've got someone who's certified at, this Demeter kind of level, Luke with no certification, but feel, direct to consumer. Kristine's got a mix, and Nathan's got a mix, but all the green certified. So really great to, I think it was a good representation actually of a group here of sort of all the different things going on. And I personally have been in a learning phase over the last year because this wasn't where I've been in. I've done, honeybee and bumblebee research for years and kind of learning about, some of these difficulties people are having. And, solving problems is really, great. And then also, knowing what the needs are around organics and whether that's certified or not certified, healthy farming, things that are allowed, things that are not allowed, and sort of all of the obstacles that you guys keep coming up against. And so I'm, going to have some conversations with some of the certifying bodies. I've been listening to these conversations a lot, and we're going to start working with our Ontario certifying bodies, and we're working on a data project that will feed into that as well. As we wrap up here, first of all, I want to say thank you so much to all of our panelists today. I really appreciate you joining. If you're on the call or if you're listening to this at a later time in the recording, we are actually looking to fill November and December and January and February and March with farmers. And so we're really hoping that you can reach out to us if either you're interested or you know somebody who would actually be a great fit for our panels. And I think Courtney's trying to kind of group them based on like what they're producing. So if it depends on the interest we get, if we're going to be able to do that, or if it's going to be a little bit of a smorgasbord each month. So we'll see how that falls out. But the plan is to do this each month. Just want to let you know that next month we have a couple of different webinars that are happening. So we'll be doing an innovation panel. We'll have another farmers panel. We actually have the organic action plan will be coming out, as well as the organic, oh my gosh, help me with this, Sammy.
Task force.
the Organic Task Force on their report that they did, which is really fantastic. We'll be having a presentation from them next month. Our Guelph Organic Conference is moving to the Guelph Marketplace, or Guelph Farmers Market this year. We're moving out of the university, and we're very excited. We're, a little bit more grassroots feel to it. We're actually running on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. And so parking's right there. And we've got Aaron Silvas, I think, is who's going to be joining us for our intensive on the Tuesday. I don't know that's confirmed. I may be saying something before I should be, but and then we're going to have reception and workshops, and our trade show is actually going to go 2 days at the marketplace, so that will be great as well. So that's going to be coming up. The dates, Courtney, January 27th and 28th. Does that sound right? Is that it? Yeah. Okay. Woo. I remembered. So, and then of course, my last little plug is to remind you that we really are a very small team here, that we run on the wheels of grants and memberships and sponsorships. And so every time I do these, I feel like I'm doing like a little, like, call out on the phone of please donate. But yes, if you are able to join as a member, as an advocate, if you're able to do a donation, or if you, fall into producers, please visit our website. Sammy's going to drop that um, into the chat there, where you can get a membership. And yeah, just thank you so much. I see that Gurpreet has asked in the bottom what that app is called. It's called Field Margin, and our plan is to actually do a talk probably in February with the Field Margin people, so they can come on and walk through how to do that. And then, yes, behind every great leader, there is a Sammy. There's a Sammy and a Courtney and an Aram. And I can't say enough. That's my entire team, and they are superstars. And I am so thankful that we have the crew that we have. So yes, Terry just put that in the chat, and I was like, yeah, thank you, Pat. Yes. So all right. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you next month. And again, thank you so much to our panelists, Kristine and Aric and Luke and Nathan and Alita. Really appreciate you joining us today. And enjoy the rest of your coffee, tea, drinks for the rest of the day. Have a great one.